Welcome, Annie Collins here for Imagine Crafts. Today we'll be creating some wood and fabric bookmarks. For our bookmarks, the wood ones, we'll be using medium popsicle sticks. There are larger ones you can use, but I have these on hand, so this is what we'll be using today. We'll also be using some fabric tags. These are from Michael's and Little Yellow Bicycle. I've had these in my stash for a while, but you can easily create these using your tag dies, and some fabric. I'll also bring in some additional twine to add to our tags. We have a line called VersaCraft Ink, and this is great for fabric, paper, and wood, but I won't be using that today. We're going to be using our Fabrico markers. These are pigment ink markers, and they are dual-ended. One is a brush nib and one is a little fine point nib here. And we're going to use these to stamp on our wood and fabric. I'm bringing in some stamps. This one I'm only going to use the foliage. From this one I'm going to use mostly the sentiments, and this is from Peekaboo Designs. I've had this one for a long time. These have these cute little kids on here that you can actually stamp on your card, let's say, and then add your little tag inside as a bonus gift. From Woodware, I'm going to use the books, but there's also a little one there that says for the great teacher, so you can make a bookmark for the teacher. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to start with our wooden popsicle. And we're going to use our black Fabrico marker, and we're just going to brush this onto our stamp. So I'm going to get our book stack here. Try to move up a little bit so you can see. And I'm going to just take the brushed nib, and I'm just going to brush it onto our stamp. Making sure to color all the edges, to coat all the edges. And I'm just going to stamp it. Now our bookmark stack is wider than our popsicle stick, but it's still usable. Just pick the side, where you want to stamp. We're going to color in the brims of our books with some of the other colors using the fine nib. I did some green, some blue, and then for our pages, I'm going to bring in a little bit of yellow. Oh, a little bit of red there, okay. And then I'm going to use a little bit of yellow here to make it look like worn, like they've been gone through some worn pages. But also adds a nice pop of color, so it's not just plain wood. Just going to brush it just so, and I'm not going to color it all the way in, just a few strokes in there. Once that's done, I'm going to stamp our sentiment. I'm going to get that, put it on my block here real quick. And again, I'll use the black marker. On this one I have, all you need is books, but for the one we're creating today, we're going to have happiness, I can't remember what it says. Happiness is reading. I'm using the red one, and again, just use the brush end of the marker. Now these markers will need to be heat set so they can become permanent. So if you do it on your fabric, just remember that once you heat set it, it will be permanent. I bring in my Cropadile here to punch a hole in the top of our tag, and I will thread through that hole some red and white baker's twine. Just cut about 12 inches worth, and then I fold it in half, and then half again, so we have a nice thickness. And then I'm going to just loop it through, and once I loop it through, I also tie a knot on top, being that this one I'm giving to a young child, not a small child, school-age child, and I don't want them to lose their little threads here. That'll keep it in place. And now this is perfect. Now you can do this with the kids. You can do all the stamping and let them color it in with their markers or color pencils or crayons. Now here's for the fabric one, which is I'm going to give to my eldest daughter. And here I'm going to use the floral. Make it more for a mature reader. So I'm going to just go ahead and stamp the floral here, again using the black Fabrico and the brush nib. And as you can see, I just used the side of the nib and stroke it across. Center this and stamp it a little bit towards the bottom. I always give it a minute to just soak into the fabric. And of course, I'm going to heat set this so that I can proceed with the rest of the color, so that I don't have any bleeding on our fabric. Excuse me. It doesn't take very long because it's not a big image. I heat from the front and the back just to be on the safe side. So now that it's heat set, I'm going to take the green and fill in all our leaves here. And since they're small, it goes pretty quick. It took me about 20 minutes to create all of these, and that's with filming in between. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish coloring in our leaves. I just burn it up so you can see real quick what I was doing. And then we'll proceed to color our blooms in the center. And then I'll heat set it all so that we can set it aside and move on to our next one. So I'm going to start with the little yellow centers. And then I'll move on to a nice bright orange in the center and then some red blooms. I wanted to get as many of the colors in here as possible. The orange one is quite bright at first, but it comes down a bit once you let it dry. And here's the red. And like I said, these images are very small, so it's really quick and easy. You can use any stamps you would like. You can pick more kid style or just simple designs like heart, stars, etc. So let me go ahead now and stamp our sentiment. And we're going to use the same one. The reading is happiness. No, happiness is reading. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. And then I'm going to stamp that on the top here. And once that's all done, I'll heat set this. Grab my heat tool real quick, and that's done. So now I'm gonna grab some of this silver and white twine. I'm leaving the twine that came on it, but I wanted to add this for a little bit more, just a little extra touch. Again, threading it through, pulling it through the center. Sorry, I'm a bit off screen here. In order for me to see it, I have to pull away, and I didn't realize I was off screen. This is what happens when you start getting older and you can't see so well. Alright, so now that it's all there, I snip off the ends and make sure that all the tassels are loose. And there's our bookmark. So there we have a wood one and a fabric one. So we're going to repeat the process on this fabric one. This is a little bit more thinner. And we're going to use the hashtag reading, hashtag book lover stamps for this, as well as our book stack. I figured this would be better for like a teenager. So I give you a variety of look here. You can have your younger kid with the popsicle sticks, your adults with maybe a floral or another lovely design, and then your teenagers with some basic designs with, you could do the floral, but you can also just do the books and other shapes that you may have, and keep throwing in those hashtags makes it feel more trendy for the kids. So I'm going to go ahead and do one of the sentiments in the blue and the other in a red. So this is hashtag book lover, and then we'll have the other one which will read hashtag reading, I'm sorry. And I stamped those in angles. Now I didn't get a great impression on the bottom here, but since these markers are made for fabric, I'm just going to fill in those lines here. Just draw them in, just trace them out basically, because you can see it, but not as full in as I would like. And that's what these are made for, just for drawing and coloring onto fabric, so it's perfect. You can also have your child draw with these and have their own design if they would like. So here are our bookmarks. So quick, easy projects that you can do using our Fabrico Pigment ink markers, some wood, and some fabric. Thank you so much for being here today.